This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler & Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Raise your hand if your drive-in this morning was bumpy. All right, say maybe half the room. Thanks, you can put your hands down. If it seems like road quality, road infrastructure in America is a problem, it's because it is. We're going to be short about $1 trillion in road spending over the next decade. And that's a trend that started about 30 years ago. Now think about all the aspects of your quality of life that are impacted by roads. My name is Chris Sundy. I'm a civil engineer, and my company is Good Roads. We serve the people who are responsible for scheduling and budgeting road maintenance. They're called pavement managers, and they work for city governments. We built a device that collects road quality data as you drive. We built artificial intelligence that inspects that data and assigns a rating to each road. Then we use those ratings and data science through our web application to help cities pick the best way and the right time to maintain each road. We're faster and cheaper than current methods, and we're working to prove that we're more accurate as well. And we're getting better at that every single day. But that's not our value proposition. H. James Harrington is an ex-IBM executive and a quality expert, and he says, if you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you can't understand it, you can't control it, and if you can't control it, you can't improve it. That's our value proposition. The data that we're amassing will soon be unprecedented in size and scale. And we're using that to find a way to improve America's roads one city at a time. So we're at a stage where we're looking for a software architect, and so we're raising our first round for $100,000 to cover software architect and travel to begin selling. We have our first client, and we're Matthews, North Carolina, and we're negotiating our second contract with a larger local city, and we have 4 beta testers as well. So, Good Roads, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I liked the lead in there and tying what you're talking about to all of us and a problem or at least an inconvenience that we all can understand. I think you lost me a little bit in translating it to the value you're delivering to your customer, which is the pavement manager, I think you said. So, and you mentioned that you've got a device that collects data. It's not clear how does that happen? Do you sign up people to put it in their individual cars? Does it go in police cars or garbage trucks? And obviously you can't cover all this stuff in a 2-minute pitch. And so it's fine that you're just kind of teasing things that make me as an investor want to come up to you afterwards and ask you these types of questions. So that part's probably okay, but it might not be clear, but it isn't clear what the value proposition you're trying to, it sounds like, and tell me if I'm wrong, this is a question in the form of a statement, it sounds like the value proposition is you're enabling these pavement or road departments to better prioritize and go after which roads should be fixed and when. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we are faster and cheaper, but the real savings is in basically what's done today is a person drives around and inspects the roads manually. They put those in like an Excel spreadsheet and then give it to the city. And so the city of Charlotte has 2,600 miles of roads. Which roads do you pick when you have only a $12 million budget? $12 million is still a lot to spend every year, but cities are struggling. Every city struggles with putting those dollars on the right roads.
So so the city of Charlotte has a $12 million budget for road maintenance, period, or a $12 million budget for road survey?
For road maintenance, period.
No wonder they're so bad. Good thing the weather's not worse. So where does your device go? What vehicle does it go in?
It's made to go on any vehicle, but the idea is garbage trucks, fleet vehicles that would drive around. But smaller cities sometimes don't have access to those vehicles, and so like for the town of Matthews, we drove it ourselves. And so we can hire contract drivers. We're exploring the idea of maybe crowdsourcing it, something like that.
So just to verge a little bit off topic, but so how are you thinking about the autonomous vehicle programs and the data they're collecting?
We're thinking pretty hard about it because that's essentially the data that we need. And so basically what our plan is to do is to get some traction and then have a conversation with those, begin to have a conversation with those companies.
Yeah, because they're all out collecting that data already, and the only thing they care about that data for is telling the car where to be, and there's a lot of other interesting information like that embedded in that data. And there's companies already working to ingest that data and make sense of it for uses like this. So what's the ROI how are you thinking you can charge for this, and how big of a market opportunity is it to sell to pavement managers?
It's currently priced at about $5 per mile per month. So it's a software as a service model. We bill monthly. So that comes out, the city of Charlotte may pay about $150,000 per year. Matthews would be about $5,000, something like that.
Yeah, hey, great job. The only thing, it's a hard science, what you're doing, and you will walk into most rooms with most investors and have superior understanding of this. So anything you can do to break it into steps would be helpful for us, especially you brought the device up, it didn't show, you know what I'm saying? Just help dumb it down to like people like me, right? Like I'm put this and this type of cart rate and that type of bring it to life. But connecting to each of us as individuals is really smart. That's only in addition to the pitch. I mean, I guess a suggestion or a question both in the mix. Those budgetary dollars are going to be, the sales cycle is chunky at the city municipal level. We looked at a couple of deals like this where the thesis is great, but selling to 50-something thousand municipalities, United States, like, or sheriff's departments. Have you thought about the same data being used by the same people that you need to survey the data, right? So I'm not sure the budgetary dollars are higher for garbage disposal companies, but like FedEx probably would want it, UPS would want this data, consumers may want this data, people are, have you thought about like, okay, there could be additional revenue streams outside of just, okay, we can take the same core data and repackage it for the city and help prioritize where they should spend, and then, have you thought about additional uses of the data in terms of growing your revenue streams?
Yeah, the direction actually we've been looking at is more the contractors. That takes a relatively small, like half a billion a year is what this industry currently spends, but the paving industry is like 20, 40 billion a year, and those are the folks that care about which roads they would be paving and where's the asphalt going to go. But we have also started talking to the city about other departments being able to talk about where construction is going to go and using good roads for that as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'll try to say it a different way. I don't care about them because that's tax dollars, right? So that sales cycle will take its own path with the same personalities you'll have to deal with, I'm saying city by city. What I'm saying is in the exact same city, are there other potential paying customers who would like the same data but just in a different format? Like we've perfectly integrated into Waze or something, I'm saying, like for the individual who traipses around Charlotte as a pharmaceutical sales rep all day long, or hey, I'm FedEx or a local delivery service or something. I'd love to know, I want to know my traffic, I want to know weather, but like I'd like to know roads conditions. I mean, have you thought about just non-governmental sources of revenue from the same data set?
Not beyond garbage, actually. So yeah, there's actually probably some opportunity to think about branching out.
And just a question, do you geotag your data?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so what the device has, it's got a camera, it's got an accelerometer, it's got GPS. So we geotag all the data as you drive around, and then that's what our artificial intelligence looks at when it assigns ratings.
And then a quick follow on. So as road conditions change over a period of time, and as you grow from 1 city to 5 cities to 100 cities, how are you going to keep this continuous surveying capability done? Are you going to make the device smaller, make it more ubiquitous, put it in more consumer cars, or how are you?
The end goal is to get at least part of it, the accelerometer and GPS data, in cell phones so that we can crowdsource the whole thing. As drivers are driving around, you don't even have to take your phone out of your pocket. It can, it can pull the accelerometer data and read some of the road conditions that way. But otherwise, yes, of course, getting the device cheaper and getting it on vehicles that are driving all day, every day, so that there's not much management to do. The device just stays on there, collects the data, uploads it to us. The city doesn't have to do anything.
Well, the cars are going to be collecting that data through their enhanced and autonomous driving systems. So I'm not sure you're going to need the consumer to be downloading a separate app to do it.
Yes, it's actually a really good point. That is, I don't know when that's coming. It's going to be very soon.
Well, the autonomous won't be very soon, but the enhanced will be pretty soon. Right? So the LiDAR systems are already are going to be coming on, and they've already got the camera systems, and the accelerometers are becoming more prevalent as well. So yeah, I would continue to think about what are partnerships you can start establishing early to get access to that data that other companies are also going to be wanting to get access to, and thinking about that. And so if you stay with the municipal stuff, and I'll take the other side of the argument. I mean, I totally understand there are investors that just don't like that space because of the sales cycle and all that stuff.
I just don't like the government. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, except when you work for them, right?
I don't work for the government
Not
anymore.
anymore.
At least I can't tell you.
But how big is it if all you ever did was sell to municipals, and
How big is the market?
how big's the market as you would size it today? It's got to be pretty big, regardless.
It's just for this. They're probably spending $250 million a year, which isn't huge, but they're also doing it much less frequently than they need to because it's expensive and time consuming, and doesn't give them a lot of ROI because they can't do much with the data. And so that's where we hope that they realize that they should be investing in picking the right roads rather than just putting asphalt down to spend tax dollars.
So that's all off-the-shelf components, and that's not super hard to put together. But so the AI part of it gets a little more complicated. So tell us a bit about why you and your founders or co-founders are the guys that can build the intelligence into the system to handle large volumes of data once you start getting them.
So we have a team of 6. Myself, civil engineer, we've got a designer, we've got 2 data scientists, one's a PhD, and the other is our expert in artificial intelligence. And then we've got an iPhone developer and just a general programmer. So we've built the model. It's now working on Matthews, and it's one of those things that you can just continually iterate and improve. It sort of starts to train itself. But so that's the team, and of course that's why we need the extra bit of funding coming here soon, is to build on. So.
Anything from the audience? Questions, comments?
So, you mentioned primarily that you would So why is this not an image detection solution, and why is it physical hardware? Like, for example, you can use a drone with image detection and find that. To me, that seems like a cheaper way to do it, but
Drones present a problem in cities. For example, in Charlotte, you can't fly a drone within 8 miles of the airport, which is like half the city.
airports.
I'm sorry.
Airports.
Yeah. So around airports, but hey, one day when Amazon is flying drones down every street, then that idea is fine too. It's a pretty adaptable solution. You need imagery, and as long as you got imagery, you can find cracks and potholes and utility patches and that kind of thing.
Okay. Can you say what your ask was again? I didn't quite catch
He's
it.
raising money.
$100,000. I mean, we're still pretty early. So $100,000 is all we need right now, just to hire a software developer to build out our web application, which has a whole bunch of data science behind it, connecting cities, that kind of thing. And then a little bit for me to go out and start selling this. The way you sell it to governments is to go to conferences, trade shows, and that kind of thing.
Right here.
Yeah, so how is the device currently capturing the data? Is it image-based or is it something else? And if it is image-based, how are you going to integrate that in the phone app? And you can't very well attach the phone to the
Right.
hood of your car.
Yeah, no, I mean, you very well could. I mean, every phone has a camera too. And so that is an option we've been thinking about. But we've been working on some techniques to just use the accelerometer in a phone. But that's farther down. For now, the idea is just to use the device. For now.
One more.
So where else can you apply this technology? Can you apply it to rail systems? Can you apply it to amusement parks and rides? Can you apply it to other places where you can create a pattern of what it's supposed to be like and how it's changed, maybe a safety environment where the safety dollars are beginning to drive the reason to install a system like this?
Yes, to all of it. I've had very preliminary conversations with the rail industry. Nothing too substantial, but they absolutely do the same thing and have been doing similar things for a while. So that's definitely a direction we can go. I just don't know much about the size of that industry, whether it's worthwhile to just stick with roads or expand out.
I mean, some sort of end around Waze, because Waze is going to install stuff like this. This is basically just a feature of their app, in a sense. So, trying to find a new market where there already isn't somebody in the commercial, in the consumer space.
Sure.
All right, Chris Sunday.
Thank you, Chris.